Really quick before today's upload, I want to apologize for the recording quality. I had a minor issue, and unfortunately I realized it after the interview was done, and Luke really couldn't redo the interview. He's very busy with his family and work, so I had to make do with what I had, so I apologize. It's still listenable, but not 100% quality like I like. I apologize. Greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well today. Today I have a subscriber who has been on the show, and I have narrated his family's years of experiences with what they call the walking wolves, which, in my mind, is a better fit for the name of this creature rather than Dogman. He has also had encounters with Sasquatch as well. Well, today I bring Luke from Taylor, Mississippi back. Before we get into today's upload, though, a couple links. As you know, I rely on my Patreon, my PayPal, and my merch to help this channel to continue to grow and go. All of those links are in the description below. I also have a second channel for creepypasta, fanfiction, and scary voice acting. Stories that, well, they really don't fit on this channel. Now, if that's anything that you're into, follow that link and give those stories a listen. You may just like what you hear. Now, guys, I've taken enough of your time, and Luke is patiently waiting. Let's get to Luke, shall we? Alright, everybody, today, like I said last night, I was going to have Luke from Taylor, Mississippi on. He and his family have been plagued by the walking wolves throughout the years on his property. He also had a childhood friend that was a Sasquatch. I will leave links in the description below for all of the uploads concerning him. So without further ado, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give Luke the floor, and Luke, the floor is yours.
Hello, guys. Hi, everybody. I'm Luke. It's good to be back. So, I want to start off by saying that, the last time that, I heard my encounter, I actually went through the comments and I heard some questions. So, which, caused me to do some further investigating towards my family's past, because one of the questions that I did see was that shots at it, and the thing took off. And then he got in his police car, drove, turned his badge, his gun in, told him he quit, and he never went back. And he only had 6 months on the job. So what he told his wife was it was a deformed bear. When in actuality, to him, it was probably a monster. So fast forward, when he was talking to his wife, my great-grandfather at the time was like around maybe 12 or 15, one of those. He overheard the conversation between his dad and his mom. So he asked his mom about it, and she told him like certain things. Like that your dad saw a deformed bear. And it really scared him. So fast forward, maybe about I'll say almost about 10 years, about 10 years go by, and then that was the incident that happened to my grandfather at the time. like, yo, we'll go fishing. So we went the opposite way to a creek not too far. And we went fishing. Like I said, we caught some bass and trout. It was pretty much, I was actually starting to enjoy myself, even though I still had that in the back of my mind. It was relieving. I felt a little relief, I should say. So that was about an hour or two, couple hours. I forget how many times went by when we decided to head back to the RV. So as we doing it, we came in on 2 ATVs. There was 4 of us, 2 on each ATVs. We had a cooler strapped to the back of the ATV. So we put all the fish that we caught in there on ice and everything like that. So as we're proceeding, we hear movements from the brush. So we're seeing shadows and things like that. So at the time, I see like a slender type figure, like agile. So my initial thought was one of those walking wolves. And at the time, all our high-power rifles were in the RV. One thing we had was hand pistols. Like, to these things are freaking pea shooters. It's just gonna piss it off. So, as it got to the edge of the brush, it takes a leap to the middle of the trail that we was in, and it was not one of those walking wolves. It was actually a werewolf. My first time ever seeing one. I never seen one. My 40 years life that I lived, never seen one of these things. And these things are more scarier than these damn walking wolves. The reason why I say that, it looks like they have a human-like intelligence behind them. So as we're picking up speed, our ATV goes up to like 50, 55, and we're about to cap it. The thing catches up to us in no time, grabs the cooler off the ATV to the point that the ATV lifts up, and between the 2 guys and the ATV, you're looking like around damn near about 600 pounds. Lifts it up like it's nothing. The bag comes up, the racking on it snaps, it stops. The ATV drops back down and does like a fishtail motion, and they're trying to keep it under control. And as I'm looking back, this thing was laughing. Like, I got your food, what are you gonna do? So I'm like, wow. Yo, this is crazy. It's time to go. I can't take any more of this. So eventually we left that night, and then on our way home, I received a phone call from my wife that there were some people on our property and stuff like that. So I told her, because at this time she wasn't there, she was out with a relative. Don't go back to the property. I'll be home in X amount of time. So we get there, we drop everything off, we drop our friends off, come back to the house. Haven't been in the house, not even 30 minutes, people come knocking on our door. Like, don't know who they were, what they want. road and stuff like that, like a blacked out SUV. So I don't know like what's going on. But just recently, the other day, I spoke to my dad, and like, cause we haven't had any problems with the wolves ever since William/Victor sent his guys to come take care of their den and stuff like that. But these things are migratory creatures, and my dad informed me that they will be back, because every year they do pass through our property either to stop or keep moving. So, and then probably towards the end of this month, sometime next month, we're gonna start seeing the signs of them being here. Hey Jeff, you got anything for me?
When a couple questions that when you looked back on the four-wheeler, you were ahead of everybody. You had stated that when the werewolf had grabbed the rack and it had the cooler in its hand, it kind of smiled at you. Can you kind of describe what that smile looked like a little bit for us?
Yeah, it's like pretty much like, you know how you smile like, yo, you think you got a fast, you pulled a fast one. I'm the one who had the last lap, as if we thought that we could actually outrun him. And then he caught us in no time, and he was like, I got your fish, I got your food, now what? You lost, I won. It was almost like, it felt like he was toying with us.
Like he was almost playing a game, like he saw you guys fishing and he said, oh, I'm going to take your food now. When you saw your friend, and you and I had been talking about it yesterday, we spoke, that's when you were like, I think, or I know why he was so aggressive was because of the bullet wounds that were in his body. When he was there ever a sense, I mean, you obviously recognized him. Was there ever a sense that he recognized you? Like, was there ever a point in that altercation that you felt like he knew?
Yes, there was. Because when he first looked at me, you know how, like, you have that look, like you ain't seen somebody in a while, you're like, oh shit.
Yup.
That's the look that I briefly got from him. And then that look, as quickly as I got that look of aggression as well. So that threw me for a loop.
Right. And then yesterday we were talking, when he gave you that look, you were thinking the bullets and that, but he's never seen you with a weapon at all, you know, as you were growing up.
Yeah, I never had no need for a weapon. Yeah, growing up, I never needed one. I used to play in the woods, and at the end of the day, he was the biggest thing in the woods.
Right.
So that was pretty much my weapon. So I'm guessing, like, when I actually thought about it and had time to think about it, I'm like, bullet wounds, guns, he's pissed off. I'm pretty sure he thought I was going to shoot him.
Now, when you said family, what detail or what entails the family? Was it him and what else?
It was him and two others. There was about a list of them, yo. They wasn't like his color, but there was maybe a shade lighter than him, and they looked like juveniles. They was at least about, I would say, maybe 6 feet, and they stayed hidden. I knew where they was at, because when they got our attention before he came up on us, because he flanked us from the back. And then he ran into us from the back.
Okay.
So I'm thinking that those are his kids, his offspring, his children.
Yeah, he was probably taking them out.
So I'm not. Yeah, and also another thing with that being said, being that they're juvenile kids, I also think that's another form of why he was so aggressive too. Because his children was there, he didn't want his children
guys first went out there, your first night, before you made contact with him, was there any hooting or was there any noise that you heard that you felt he was going to be out there?
No, I didn't hear no noise. I heard all just the regular sound of nature,
okay.
The animals, the crickets, all of that stuff. I didn't get it until I didn't get a telltale sign of because I consider them alpha apex predators, dogman, werewolves, Bigfoot apex predators. And that being said, me knowing when we're in the area, everything goes silent. So we just kept going in, we went in the direction that was mapped out for us. So just kept going in. I kept hearing birds, this, that, and the third, everything that was pretty much going on in a while until I reached the area where I didn't notice it anymore. And then shortly after that is when we ran into the two juveniles. And then another thing is what I forgot to mention was when we saw the two juveniles, one of my dad's friend had pointed a gun to it, and I had put his hand down. I don't do that.
Right.
And then another thing is I don't know if their dad saw him do that. And then another thing is that I also forgot to mention, but I think I mentioned it prior, before he charged us, is the same friend took a shot at Big Red but missed. So that's another thing that threw him into thinking fury. So at the end of the day, because no matter how big they are, for their skin and their muscle are a lot more dense and tougher than ours. Then right now, at the time, the only thing we had was hand pistols. Yeah, we could all fire a shot, but before he got maybe 3 or 4 shots off, he already been on top of us. And then his dad is freaking massive and still moves like he's young.
Has he grown since you last seen him?
It was a pretty bad situation up there.
Has he grown? Has he grown since you last seen him? Did he look like he was bigger?
Nah, he's still about 8 feet tall. Same weight. So at the time of me, I'm thinking I think he's already his full size.
Okay. All right. How far away, from where you saw Big Red to where you saw the werewolf, how far away was that?
A mile.
A mile. I wonder if these two
we went the opposite direction.
Okay. I wonder if they've had altercations.
I'm pretty sure they do.
And there's lots, like you said, you were fishing.
Because a regular wolf territory extends over 50 miles,
Yep.
So who knows that this thing ain't trying to go over to that territory and probably had an altercation with them.
Yep.
So they probably decided you stay on this side, I stay on this side. So another thing is, just for you just saying that, I don't know because I was pretty close to Big Red, to the point that I don't know if his scent got on me, because at the end of the day, I don't know if the werewolf thing caught the scent of Big Red on me,
Right.
So, and then that's probably what caused him to peek out, and then just so it's regular humans, I'm just gonna scare them out of here.
Yeah. That's crazy.
But at the end of the day, it was well groomed. It's all black. If you ever saw the movie Underworld, when that guy became a hybrid, that's exactly what they look like. Exactly what they look like. I mean, from head to toe, exactly what they look like.
Yeah, when you were describing it to me yesterday, I said, what was it like? Did it have like a baboon snout, and you actually said it was smaller than a baboon snout. It was distinguishable, but not really. So it was more almost a little bigger than a Sasquatch face, like it jutted out. So now was Big Red? Was he? Was his hair like not groomed, but was it matty, or you know what I mean, being older and stuff, or did it still look like he was cleaned and grooming himself, or others?
One thing I learned over the years, especially Bigfoots and stuff like that, especially if they have a partner, the female actually grooms them. That's like the same thing they do in the animal kingdom. So for the most part, he was well kept though. He still had like an odor, but it wasn't like a overbearing odor. His hair was like he had red. He had red, but he also had gray in him. Like he's aged, so he's up there as well in age. But at the end of the day, the way he moves, he moves like how he did 20 years ago. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
And he's every bit as powerful. Because when I did tell you, when he did leave, like he threw a log behind us, and looking at that log had to be like at least a good 600, maybe 700 pounds. And he picked up and threw it like it was nothing.
Huh. Now, was there any vocalization during that time?
Yes. He yelled at us.
Okay. Now,
it wasn't a roar.
Right.
It wasn't a hoot. It was like, I'm about to do a like, but they'll put like as much bass and power behind it and just put it behind the amplifier.
Right.
That's how he yelled at us.
Did you feel it in your chest? Like, did it reverberate your body?
That I didn't feel that though, but it was loud enough that it had my ear ringing.
Okay. All right. Wow, that's insane. Now, with the
maybe it growled or something like that.
Right.
That weird, because time that he growls, and like his growl is a cross between like a dog and a human. Like that's pretty much what their growls are. It has more human in it than anything, but it still has that primal. It's like a primal growl. That what it does is, at the end of the day, if you get hit with what they call it, when they growl or howl at you.
Yeah.
What it is, it attacks your nervous systems. It pretty much causes everything to reset. So at the end of the day, you're thinking of running, but your body's not moving because your body just been reset. That's what like alpha predators do in the animal kingdom. Like when a lion roars at its prey, most times the prey backs down, or they get to a point where they don't even think they can run. So I think that he's aware of what his growl does, or his roar, however you want to call it. So I think he purposely yelled at us enough for us to get the point, and it was loud too.
Couple more things. But I just wanted to get back to, because when you were describing it, I wanted to get back to the werewolf. When he was standing there, the arms and like can you describe like the hands, the claws? Can you give us?
Yeah, I could definitely describe that. Yeah, think about human hands. I mean, not no dog paws with exaggerated fingers. No, think about actual human hands, 4 fingers and a thumb. You put like claws, claws behind it. Then think about it, maybe about 2 or 3 times longer than a normal human's hand. The forearm is exaggeratedly long. The pecs,
I've heard. I mean, we've gotten a couple of different, not different encounters, but they all seem to sound the same. Like it's across when they're talking about their genitalia. It's more like a cross between a dog and a human. That's crazy. The last thing I want to touch on is the property. I know you and I had spoken. We're not really going to mention too much about what's going on there, but your dad had made comment, and you had spoke on it briefly about the migration time coming, and you stated that you think the den is used as a holdover or for breeding. And
Yes.
do you think? I mean, because you've lived on this property, your family has lived on the property, and you've said you've heard what you thought was the sound of breeding. Is this breeding time around now for them, you think, or it really doesn't matter? You know how like some animals have a certain year when they breed, and
Yeah. I personally, because around this time, I've heard pretty much the same thing, like time in and time out between towards like more like August into September. So that is a very strong possibility that it's there. Not only a migratory time, but an area time for them to breed. They come to areas. Well, I believe that they breed, but they specifically choose the area that they breed in, where it has plenty of cover, plenty of food, plenty of water, and things of that nature, in places where they will not be discovered in case they do have to raise their young, or if they do decide to stay here or pick up and move. So, and then that den, which me and my dad was discussing about, like trying to fill it up though.
Yep.
And then we thought that would be a bad idea because we filled it up and they came there, and then because my house was but so far from the den area, so they could pretty much pick up my scent and just track me back to my house, and then I put my family in danger. So that's a problem that we're having as well. But at the end of the day, we're just gonna prepare for it and just see what's happening, because for the most part, they don't really, like the new ones don't really mess with us and things like that. So, and then with those people being on my property, I don't know how often they come on our property, but at the same time, they're not well prepared. They might end up getting themselves killed because they do not know about this time. Because I don't think I disclosed this with Victor, because I actually forgot about it. It was my dad that reminded me about their migratory patterns and things like that, because he's been tracking it for a while. So I think that at the end of everything is that I did tell you about the depth of it. It goes about what did I say, about 50 feet?
About 50 feet, yeah.
Inwards.
Yep.
And then
at a deep angle, right? At like a deep angle where you'd have to, like, if you fell, you'd almost fall like you were falling in a pit, kind of, right?
Yeah. You'll slide down. It's like you'll still be grabbing onto something, but you won't be able to get grip for you to stop yourself from moving. You'll need a rope or one of those escape ladders. Yep. That you put over your window and stuff like that to climb down. Because at the end of the day, it's on a steep angle. Unless you got one of those hiking, mountain climbing boots with the spikes, and they might be able to stick your feet into the soil, and hopefully it stops you there. Because yeah.
All right. Last thing.
Pretty deep and spacious.
Last thing I want to ask you, unless you have anything else you want to share after, when you had your encounter with the Dogman walking wolf, and that I love how your family has called them the walking wolves, because I think it fits the Dogman better than anything. That's I think it's a proper name for them.
Yeah, because I think the reason why we call them that is because they're wolves and they freaking walk like men.
Yeah.
And not dogs.
Now, when you had
Don't have nothing to do with dogs.
Right, when you had your encounter at the house and your dad rescued you, you literally thought you were going to die that night. I just am curious if that Dogman was a werewolf, like the one you saw on the trail. Do you think things would be different? Do you think you...
Yeah, I would have been dead and my dad would have been dead.
So
the reason why I said them things are a lot smarter and a lot tougher than what they appear to be.
Okay. All right.
Because at the end of the day, like you and I both know, I did not, well, I don't know I won't say that my dad would be dead, but I know for a fact I'd have been dead. The minute I fired that shot off, it would have pissed it off and he would kill me.
Yeah.
I don't think it would have toyed with me the way the freaking Dogman did. Because at the end of the day, the Dogman caught me while I was sleeping. He could have killed me at any moment. It's like he wanted me to see him.
Yeah.
Before he attacked. He wanted me. I had that feeling like, yeah, I'm in your house. You came to my house, now I'm in your house. What are you going to do about it?
Plus you had...
Because, the way... I'm sorry?
I was going to say, plus you had time to... when you said the werewolf would have killed you, he probably would have just taken you out immediately the first shot. I mean, there was multiple shots fired before your dad even heard them. So by the first shot, your dad might not even heard the first shot, and you would have just been taken out by that thing. So, oh God, that's crazy.
That's why I felt like I was being toyed with. And another reason why I feel that because I've seen the Dogman move at what I supposedly be his top speed, and how it jumps and moves. This werewolf thing is twice as fast, twice as agile, and it's like it has like a sharp finesse. And when it jumped about 20, 30 feet from where it was at, and like it landed close. We didn't hear no impact at all on how it landed. Like it landed like a cat does when it jumps off of something. That's how. And then like it pretty much the reason why I think it's more dangerous because it's self-aware and it has human like intelligence. Not like these not like these walking wolves, because the only thing they're driving on is instincts.
That's crazy.
So it's like you gotta think of it. It's like having all of the walking wolves qualities with a human intelligence behind it. And and these things, and the way like literally the way I would pick up with one hand picked up because it didn't wrap its hands. It didn't wrap its hands around the cooler. It actually grabbed its fingertips or its claws, just pretty much dug into it and just picked it up.
Four-wheeler and all. That's the craziest part about it. Like when you said it picked up the back end of the four-wheeler, like no problem. And it was smiling at you. That's insane.
Right.
Well, I want to thank you for coming on. I appreciate everything. I appreciate that you reached out to me a while back. I really appreciate that you keep us in the loop. I know a lot of people tune in to hear. I actually, the Taylor, Mississippi, the first encounter that I did when it was all combined, I think that's one of my top viewed videos for a while now. And it's people. I think people realize that Mississippi and Virginia, North Carolina, the areas in the South are a hot spot. And just like when you talk when you talk about Sasquatch, you automatically think of the Pacific Northwest, and Dogman and werewolf would be the southern states. Yes, we have them up here. Yes, they have them in Michigan. But with the LBL, I think there's just a lot. Like you said, they're migratory. They're just traveling all over, just hunting food and hunting a way of life. And I think where you were in Georgia is a perfect place. You've got water, you've got caves, you've got everything.
Oh yeah, the caves. We saw a few caves actually from a distance.
Right.
So depending on what side we are, because at the end of the day, all three of them are there. If you got a Sasquatch, you got a werewolf, then you definitely got a walking wolf as well. I think they're sharing that territory. They don't call it, you don't mess with, you don't come over here, we ain't gonna have a problem. I don't come over there, no problems.
Right.
Because it's like it kind of, if I was to take a guess, and so if you just draw a triangle, the top of the triangle is where the Sasquatch is. The bottom left of the triangle is where the red with the walking wolf. So I'm thinking the far right would be where probably his Dogman is, because at the end of the day, this was two different points, and there was a third point. But after that second encounter, I'm like, we're not gonna be as lucky as this time, man. By no means, I don't want anybody to think that I'm fearless and this and that. Every day I've seen them quite a bit, and they still scare the shit out of me, man. Time I was in the bathroom, I freaking pissed myself. I ain't mentioned it last time, but I did soil myself. So at the end of the day, every time you gotta look at something that supposedly is not supposed to exist, even if you've seen them for like 20 years now, I can look at a lion and be like, oh, it's a lion. But at the end of the day, you can't get used to. You can't get used to looking at these things and thinking that it's normal, even though they are flesh and blood creatures. I've seen feel that plenty of times.
Right.
So at the end of the day, some things are dangerous, extremely dangerous. Like, my thing is you'll have more problems with a walking wolf than with a werewolf for the most part, I think the werewolves are just solitary creatures that don't really want to be out anywhere, but the walking wolves are freaking curious by nature.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the like you said, like the Sasquatch and the werewolf, being that they have the human qualities, they act more like we would. They just kind of want to do what they do and live their life, and really not have an interaction. And the Dogman are just living on basic instinct, and just they're like the punk scourge of the woods, I guess. If Sasquatch and they're just living off instinct, like just turmoil almost. You don't hear anything about, they're always fighting or hunting or causing terror. It's like that's their goal. Their main goal, it seems.
Yeah, you don't ever hear of helping anybody. You hear cases of werewolves helping Victor. They didn't have to help them. They helped them. They kept them safe. You hear cases of Bigfoot coming on defense of humans, help them save their lives, depending on overturned cars, flip cars over, carry people. Like I think, like you got good people, you got bad people. You got good Sasquatch, you got bad Sasquatch. At the end of the day, you got a walking wolf that doesn't know how to differentiate from what's right and what's wrong. At the end of the day, he knows that he's on the top. He's a top apex predator. He's a top apex predator, and nothing really is gonna mess with him.
Yep.
So they really have no fear. They don't have no fear, so why would they have any more? It's because more comes with fear.
Yeah.
Consequences, repercussions. There's no consequences, repercussions
a wild animal. That's it. They're just a wild animal. So, well, all right, brother. I appreciate you coming on today, and I hope that your family is and stays safe throughout the next couple of months. Like you said, your dad thinks they're going to be migrating through, and he's lived on this property, and he's a couple years older than you, so he knows a little bit more than you, and I'm sure there's stuff that he's heard
he got
from
20 plus experience on me.
Right, and I'm sure there's stuff that he's heard from his dad that he still hasn't shared with you yet. So I really pray for.
I'm pretty sure because it took a lot to get that bit of information out of him.
Right.
And I also have to feel that I'm not getting all the information that I need. So at the same time, I'm giving some time to see if he's gonna come to me. But at the end of the day, I know my dad. I know when he's withholding something, he thinks that he's pretty good at holding shit, but nah, he's not. Yeah.
Well,
he gonna hear this and kick my ass.
Yeah. Yeah, he's gonna be like, all right, you think so? Well, if anything does occur, please let us know.
Yeah.
And
yeah, what I plan on doing, like we discussed this already, for your listeners is, I do plan, like if they do, actually when they do migrate to, and they do the mating calls and stuff, I'm just trying to see if I can have that recorded so you can play it for your listeners so you can know what they sound like. So if you ever hear something like that in your neighboring areas to stay far, far away from it.
Right.
Because one more thing I do want to mention, and I heard this from a friend who actually has encounters and stuff with them. During this season, if they are mating, they are highly, highly, highly aggressive. Highly. And territorial. So, if you hear something that you ain't heard before, like a scream between a girl and a dog or something, just stay out of that area. Don't even try to chance it saying it's a bobcat or a fox or this and that. Just stay safe and stay out that area because these times is when they're extremely, extremely dangerous and aggressive.
Yep. Well, all right, Luke. See, I'm going to have you say goodbye to everybody, and I appreciate everything.
All right, guys. Thank you for having me on, and I appreciate everybody out there for taking the time to listen to my story, even though it's a crazy one. But at the end of the day, only thing I'm here for is to inform y'all, and just like whatever I learned, I try to make sure y'all know I'm no Vic or anything like that, though. But at the end of the day, whatever little bit of information I could get for y'all, I will. Because every day for me with these things, as long as they're going to keep traversing my property, is a learning experience for me as well.
All right, man. Have a good day.
You too.
Wow. What a terrific and terrifying interview. Like he said, his family has been plagued by these creatures. From great-grandfather all the way to, his children are going through it now. Their home was broken into. Fortunately enough, he was not there. His children were not there. But, yeah, this is definitely some stuff going on in Taylor, Mississippi. And a lot of you do know that Taylor, Mississippi and that area is a hot spot. Actually, I really don't like that word hot spot either, because they are migratory. So they're going to travel where the food is. And, that's a given. If you sit down and think about the attacks that are in the news that get blamed on wild dogs or panther, mountain lion, yada, 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 boar. There is, it seems, a lack of small game or large game around. So, I don't know. Anyway, I really enjoyed today's interview, and I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed bringing it to you. Have a good day, guys, and farewell.